And we are live. Hold on, let me cue up the theme song. Hey, one of these days I'll have a real studio. Hold on. And some help.
It's time to get real.
It's a new experience.
Yeah, keep your ears open for this one. You got a question for RL? It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real.
Time to get down. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington, Inner Peace Practitioner, Oracle, but most importantly, a student, just like you. And I've been getting a lot of new listeners, audience members, and I just want to do a brief introduction. I don't do this often, once in a blue moon, but there are a lot of people that don't even know my background. And so I wanted to share that. But before I go on, I wanted just to talk about what this show is about. It's always about the same thing. Same thing since 2012. Since 2012. That's right. Since 2012. It's the same. It's this with a different cough. It's the same thing. The truth about happiness. The truth about happiness. And what I mean by happiness, it's not about something happens and now I'm happy. How do I live happier? No, it is a practice, an ongoing practice. You don't get any breaks. You don't get any time off. You don't get any vacations. And what do you practice? Thanks for asking. You practice eliminating all of the programming that we've all received. I don't care what culture, I don't care what race, I don't care what gender, I don't care where you come from. You have been programmed. Programmed beliefs, programmed behavior, programmed judgments, programmed perspectives. And it's the programming that is causing the suffering, the beliefs that 99.999% are just not the truth. And so when I say happiness, I'm talking about how do you maintain and sustain a personal energy, a personal vibration of contentment, a personal energy, a personal vibration of peace, of balance, of being relaxed, of living in neutrality. How do you maintain that? Like anything else, with practice. And so all I do on this wonderful show that's global all over the world, reaching millions and millions of people, is just share with you how to do that. And I'm joking with the millions and millions of people because years ago when I first started this show, 2012, and no one was listening, kind of like now. No one was listening. I would get one listener. It was a big week if there were two listeners or zero listeners. That's how I've learned how to just talk into the air with no one listening. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I was complaining. Scratch that. Rebecca Norrington was complaining. Rebecca's ego was complaining. And nobody's listening, universe. No, nobody's listening. And I use the term universe. You can use the term God, source, higher power, all there is, whatever term you want to use. And I said to the universe, nobody's listening. And then the universe shot back at me, which it usually does in a really quick amount of time too. They're usually really prompt on their replies. And I was crying and complaining. Nobody's listening. And then the universe said, "We're listening. Isn't that enough?" And that's one of the practices that has really been instrumental in me experiencing even more peace, not caring about numbers, not caring about likes, not caring about how many people are watching, not caring about how many are listening, not caring about the bank account. I know the world sells dissatisfaction, and usually the main vibration is more. I want more. I want more out of this present moment. I want more out of my life. I want more out of me. I want more out of the future. All of this more. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to share something a little bit different. And that is vibrating a sense of satisfaction, vibrating a sense, when some people use the word gratitude, but staying in that place, practicing staying in that place of satisfaction, the place of surrendering, the place of trusting, and knowing that everything is unfolding in the amount of time it needs to unfold. And so let me just give you my definition of happiness, which is the ability to vibrate an energy of peace regardless of what happens. So the world doesn't have the ability, or a person doesn't have the ability, or my Siamese twin doesn't have the ability to make me feel here or low, high or low. And one of the examples I want to give, because I've shared this before about not being able to be complicated, not being able to be complimented or insulted. So if you can insult me, then you can compliment me. If you can compliment me, then you can insult me. And I'll give you an example. I teach these classes. It's the same class. I've been teaching these classes for over 15 years. And the title of the class is ta-da, the truth about happiness. I told you it's the same theme. It's the same. And with my aging and my growth and my expansion and what I've been practicing, I've learned more skills. I have more tools. I have more things that I can share with anyone that is interested. And I want to just get into, I always say this at the beginning of the show. There's a very famous study you can Google. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. The 5 most common regrets of the dying. It was done by a hospice nurse. Her name is Bronnie Ware. I believe she's from Australia. Bronnie, spelled Bronnie, Ware, Ware, Bronnie Ware. And so she asked her patients, and they had a limited amount of time on this planet, from months to days to weeks, a limited amount of time. And she asked them, what are your biggest regrets? And the answers, there were 5 answers that kept coming back over and over and over again. And so she wrote a book about it. I believe, I probably could find out exactly when this book came out, but it has to be at least 20 years ago. I believe 15 to 20, maybe even longer. The 5 most common regrets of the dying. Number 1, I wish I pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. I wish I would have pursued my dreams and aspiration and not the life others expected of me. I did that for a little bit. I was falling right in line with what Ralph Norrington, my father, God rest his soul, wanted me to do. And there you go. That's just part of And you know what? Here we go. Right off the bat. That's a story. Everything that I did, everything that I accomplished, everything that I achieved was just part of my journey. It had nothing to do with Ralph Norrington and his influence. But my ego will create a story that believes that it makes sense. How you like that? That's level 3. Anyway, okay, number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. Shout out to all my workaholics. I wish I didn't work so hard. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Yours truly doesn't have that issue. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I always add with respect that sometimes we just outgrow people. There's nothing to do with them, nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with you. It's just time to move on. Some people are grandfathered in, but just because you're grandfathered in doesn't mean that you have to spend a lot of time or even contact. It's an energetic grandfathered in. So you can go for years, but when you're sending energy that is supportive, loving, without judgment, you don't need to see those. Okay, and the fifth regret of the dying is I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's where I come in. And that's when I say it's a broken record, it's my only, it's not my only, but it is the agenda, it is the intention that I've had for decades. And so what I do on this show, Reality Spiritualities, is share with you what to practice. And in my latest book, where is the book? In my latest book, Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth, it's on Amazon. In this book, I list 56 program behaviors that have been proven to subtract from your happiness. 56. And I also list 26 or 27 behaviors that you can practice that will add to your contentment, your happiness, your sense of satisfaction, the calm, the ease, the flow of this life that will add to flowing. So you're either resisting in any moment or you're flowing. Period. Resisting or flowing. Resisting to life or flowing with life. And I'll tell you, this resistance is another program. Taught to resist. Can you imagine if we were all taught as young children, babies, all the way up toddlers to being a young child, to just flow with whatever happens? Just flow. And when I say flow with whatever happens, I'm not talking, I always get a lot of pushback. Boy, oh boy, this happiness specialist gets a lot of arrows and bullets shot at her, but that's okay. It's still never personal. It's never personal. Whatever is thrown at me. My point is, the programming is the reason for the resistance, meaning, what if as a young child, I believed and I trusted and I knew, like I do now as an older child, that everything that is happening or everything that happens or everything that I experience is there for a purpose, is there for a reason, is there to serve me in some way. I trusted that, I believed that, and I knew that. Life would be a lot easier. Life would be a lot shoulders down. Not like this. Shoulders down. And in fact, I go through a lot of challenges. I think the universe hits me with challenges even more than the average Joe, only because I'm up here claiming to be a happiness specialist. Thanks a lot, universe. And don't think that that I embrace everything and don't think that I'm running around here just flowing through life. But what I do know is that when I do resist, I know exactly which entity is resisting. And it's not it's Rebecca, not my higher self, not the awareness, not the consciousness, not the presence who I practice identifying with. But this Rebecca has a lot of things that she don't like. So let me just give you a quick background, and then I'll go right to the questions. Happiness, personally. Okay, so I've been hosting Reality Spirituality radio podcast since August 2012. Wow. I have over 650 episodes, and now they're all downloaded on YouTube, audio only. They're all on my YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington YouTube channel. And I wouldn't even want to listen to the first, what did I say, 2012? I wouldn't even want to listen to any of them. No, I'm just saying, and that's the thing about growth. The shift in perspective, the shift in what's important, the shift in focus, it comes when it's time. So that self-judgment and self-criticism, all of that is another program. And then now Rebecca Norrington co-hosts a show every Saturday with my number one and only son. It's called What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense, plus more. So I'm live every Saturday morning at 9:15 Pacific time, and then also every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. I've created and teach a 10-week course. Of course, it's not online yet, but it's in person. It's called The Truth About Happiness, of course. I've been teaching these classes for 15 years in California, in Roseburg, Oregon, and now I'm in Las Vegas. And I teach the class at UNLV, The Truth About Happiness. This is my 6th semester. Okay, enough about me. Oh, I already showed you about the book. And the other thing is the topic is always the same. The truth about happiness. I get a lot of questions, and in fact, I love getting questions. And just for clarity, I don't pretend to have all of the answers. I don't pretend to know every single thing on this topic of happiness, but it's close, very close, 99.999. And it's only because this has been my focus for over 45 years. And I've been called delusional, selfish, toxic. I've contributed 0 to the planet. In other words, I'm a big fat 0. I'm delusional. And when all of that was said to me by Walter O'Brien, you can Google him, with 197 IQ. At that moment that it was said, and he described me in a very succinct manner, and the description, I mean, toxic, selfish. I've contributed 0 to the planet. What I've accomplished can't be measured. Therefore, I've accomplished nothing. That was my favorite one, I believe. Anywho, why was I able to laugh and listen to all of that without taking any of it personally, and even take a selfie with them after? Answer: because of what I practice. And when I say 56 program behaviors, when you start putting a spotlight on each one of these behaviors, and very patiently, you will experience something different also. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, here we go. Look at that. 20 minutes in, and I haven't even gotten to a question. But this is a really good question. And this question comes from one of my listeners. I believe he's a new listener, audience member. Just first name, of course, Christopher. And this was a question that came in. Great question. I love questions. Oh, I get a little compliment. Well, I didn't finish my thought when I talked about you can't compliment me and you can't insult me. So let me give you the example. When I say I've been teaching these classes, The Truth About Happiness, so far there's been 4 classes. It's a 10-week course. We've finished 4 classes. And for 2 of those weeks, it doesn't matter which week, for 2 of those weeks, I had a few students tell me, "Wow, Rebecca, that was a great class. I love that class. Excellent class today." However, for 2 weeks, I said the class has been going on for 4 weeks. For 2 weeks, I received 0 compliment, as what the world would call a compliment. I received no compliments. Not a, "Hey, great class," not a, "I learned something," nothing. It was crickets. And so the practice is it doesn't matter if someone is complimenting me or insulting me, how is that affecting my personal vibration? And so that's when I mentioned that these compliments, you can't compliment me, because if you can compliment me, you can insult me. If I could feel a certain way because of your words, then I can feel a certain way because of your words. And number one, regardless if the world teaches and shares that words are powerful. I mean, everybody's programmed, scratch that. Mostly everybody, 98% of the population, yes, words have power. And that's just not true. Words innately do not have power. Energy has power. Energy has power. Words, powerless. So when you practice giving 0 power to these words, you're not going to have your feelings hurt. You're not going to be offended. So words have no power, especially yours. So anyway, back to the question. Here we go. 25 minutes in. Can you share some information on dealing with grief? Put your seatbelts on for this, my dear audience. Grieving is another program. I get it. But we were all programmed with this thing that grief is normal and grief is natural. You know what? I just came up with an example. So a baby that is, I don't know, firstborn, month old, 6 months old, 3 months old. And in fact, a baby that's born doesn't have a preference to breast. A baby is the word suckle? A baby could suck off of any woman's breast. Oh, no, just my mother. Just the lady, scratch that. Just the lady that birthed me. No, if you had 10 lactating women, 10 lactating women, and this baby was able to, nurse on all 10 for 6 months. I don't know. This is really going off, but for a while, now the baby would definitely sense different energy from the mother, from the lactating woman, but baby's not going, "Oh, this is my mother," this latching on to "this is my mother." So that's what I'm saying. What my point is, if any one of those 10, scratch that, if all 10 of those women ceased to exist, and there was a new group, this is really crazy, lactating women, and there was a new group of women, lactating women, would there be any grieving period for the child? Would there be any grieving period? So I get it. I promise you I do. I'm not cold. I'm not heartless. Not all the time. But this grieving is another program. So here's the question. My mom died a few years ago. I'm an only child, and we were very close. Her death was sudden and unexpected. It's like time has stopped. Our life together seems like yesterday, and I feel her with me all the time, but I miss her physically, and it makes me so sad. How can I overcome this sadness? I get these type of questions all the time, and let me share with you again. This is my perspective. I don't pretend to know everything, but I have practice, especially practice focusing on these programs that keep, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but programs that kept me from feeling any sense of contentment when life goes up and life goes down. And that's life. Life is up, life is down, life is up, life is down. The challenges are endless. So here we go. This is my response. And I usually start off like this with, would your mother want you to feel this sadness and this hurt and for a long period of time? Because one of the things that he said is, my mom died a few years ago. I'm an only child. And so what happens with the programming is that people that are programmed stay stuck in the past. But this past grieving, sadness, how is that contributing to your life? How is that contributing to the world's life? Put your seatbelt on for this. How is that contributing to the world? And again, I say, whatever your energy is, whatever you're vibrating, that's your contribution to this planet. So if you're sad, you're contributing sadness. But back up a little bit. Would your mother that adored you and you adored her, and love and all of that wonderful, all of that goodness, all of that love, would your mother want you to spend their time on this planet, your physical time on this planet, feeling like this? I feel with her. It makes me so sad. And see, this sadness, it's interesting. People can become addicted. The world talks about different addictions, the addiction to drugs or alcohol or shopping or food. I love food, or the addiction to gambling. But what about the addiction to feeling bad? What about an addiction to feeling sad? What about an addiction to needing to be right? What about an addiction to feeling fear? And I'm just sharing a different perspective. So now this sadness that my dear friend is talking about, it's become, with all respect and all love, an addiction to feeling sad. In other words, the ego knows. So you're two separate entities, and the ego knows, the human identity knows. Let me back up a little bit. Needs to be fed, needs to feel sad, needs to feel bad. I know my ego wants me to feel bad and sad and angry as much as possible, and discontent as much as possible. The ego feeds on discontentment. It's fuel. So number one, you're feeding the ego. Number two, your mother wouldn't want you to feel like this, especially for years. You know that's right, and I know that's right. And I haven't even met you yet, but your mother wouldn't want you to feel like that. So is there something to honoring your mother, honoring this woman who you were very close to? Well, this feeling sad for a lot of years isn't really honoring. And I say that with love. Again, holding on to the past. The other thing that the ego feeds on is yesterday. And here we go. Strap in again. Seatbelt. Here we go. The ego attaches a story to why you're feeling sad. Oh, it's because my mother died years ago and I can't shake it and I'm feeling sad about it. How about it's just you've become accustomed to feeling this sadness? I'm using quotes too, because if you've listened to the show, I don't even label my emotions. They're just feelings, they're emotions, I'm human, partly human, mostly not human, partly human. And so I'm going to feel a lot of different emotions. But the labeling of an emotion is another program. What? Yeah, sad. lonely, bad, annoyed. So now you've attached a story as to why you're feeling this sadness. How about practicing, I'm just feeling this way, and I've been used to feeling this way, but it has nothing to do with my mother's death, especially after all these years. You see how different this is? When I say reality spirituality, I'm talking about different. So it has nothing to do with this years and years and years. But see, the ego needs a story. It lives. It can't live without your beliefs. It can't live without your words. It can't survive without attaching a story. And what if you're just feeling this way for this long, I'm going to say sad, for a long period of time, because it's just time for you to feel that way. But can we let go and let the ego know? No, ego, that's not why. See, one of my favorite quotes, and I don't quote a lot of people, but I love this quote. It's by Guy Finley, and he's a spiritual teacher. He's in Oregon. What is it? Medford, Oregon. And this is now I met him a couple of times. This quote is to die for. And he says, Guy Finley says, here we go. The feel is real, but the why is a lie. What? You heard me. Let me say it again. The feel is real, but the why is a lie. And let me go on answering this question about the mother. Okay, so when I'm feeling or when someone is feeling this sadness, loneliness, gloom and doom, anxiety, depression, whatever you're feeling, especially know that after a while, that feeling begins, you're getting something out of holding on to that feeling, especially if the feeling doesn't feel good. Why would someone want to hold on to a feeling that doesn't feel good? That's just another program. Your ego's got you in a bind. The ego's got you all twisted up. It owns you. Who's your daddy? That's funny. Your ego's your daddy. Oh my goodness. And that's another thing. Lighten up. Lighten up. There is always something to laugh at. There is always another perspective that can take you to another level of lightness. So you're either practicing feeling good or you're practicing feeling bad. What else? Okay, this is another perspective to the same question. And this perspective was offered by someone that is very close to me. And we've been growing since we met. And so this is another perspective to the same question. My mom died a few years ago. I'm an only child and we're very close. Her death was sudden and unexpected. It's like time has stopped. Our life together seemed like yesterday, and I feel her with me all the time, but I miss her physically and it makes me so sad. How can I overcome this sadness? And this is another perspective. This is another answer from someone else that is very conscious and aware and has been doing this work for decades. And coincidentally, here we go, his mother was killed in a car accident unexpectedly by a drunk driver. She was in the car, a drunk driver hit her, killed her, and she didn't die instantly. So now here we go. Now, not only did some drunk driver hit her, now there's suffering, knowing that your mother suffered before she was killed, before she died. I mean, I can't even imagine I can't even imagine the thoughts and the stories behind that one. I mean, the pain, I can't even imagine the pain. And here we go. For a long time after my mother's death, whenever I think about her, I became sad. My thoughts began to change. You know what? 15 years. That's not the truth. He's so funny. This guy never remembers the years. It was 20 years. 20 after her death. After her death, I separated from my family, which turned out to be the best thing for raising my daughter in a conscious environment. Also, my own conscious development began to grow. The death of my mother created this opportunity. And here we go. I'm going to call him on it. The death of my mother sparked this opportunity. That's another story. However, there are things that happen, circumstances that happen, events that happen, that kind of spark and shift, just like if a meteor hit the earth. My mother's death hit me like a brick. A drunk driver ran into her as she was waiting for a red light. When I first found out, I thought I'd never be the same. It's good to believe that it's good to believe that no matter what, you can attach this story to my feelings. But it's a different level when you know that you can shift your perspective and find something. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate mail. Find something that is beneficial. Find something that is of service. Find something that is going to take an individual to another level of understanding, especially with a death. My mother loved me, and when I stopped thinking about myself, seatbelts. And when I stopped thinking about myself and began to focus on the type of person I knew she wanted me to evolve into, healing got easier. I know that she's happy with my transformation, and that added to me smiling every time I thought and think of her. Now her death no longer makes me sad. I think of her and I feel inspired. Now her death no longer makes me sad. I think of her and I feel inspired. So what entity is causing you to just choose one emotion? Sadness. I promise you I understand and I get it, but you're only choosing one perspective. You're only choosing one emotion, one feeling to embrace. And again, all the work, all the practice is done in the mirror. It's time to make a shift or not. It's time to stop feeding the ego that wants you to feel sad or not. What a great question. Thank you. You know, I have other questions here. I'm going to just go through these really quickly because I have a lot of questions. Okay. List 5 or more things you can't seem to stop doing. Be honest. List 5 or more things you can't seem to stop doing. And this person said, playing Little Garden on my Kindle. One of the things I want to share this, and I'm going to make the answer quick. Can we stop criticizing ourselves, looking in the mirror and feeling like and believing this program behavior that wasting time? Oh, we only have a limited amount of time on this planet. Well, it's true. You do only have a limited amount of time in this human meat suit. I like that, meat suit. But you are an infinite being. Who you really are is consciousness, never ending, never born, never die. So a limited amount of time on this planet, yes, okay, but time is an illusion, especially now. And this self-criticism, oh, I'm watching, playing a game. I don't know, games on my phone are very relaxing. watching television, watching Judge Judy and Family Feud is very entertaining. I love it. And I used to feel bad and tell people, oh God, you know what I did this weekend? It was like I took heroin or something. I watched TV. Oh, I watch TV. Oh, I'm youthless. I'm useless. I'm worthless. Oh, what a time waster. Oh, I'm not productive. I'm over it. If I watch TV for 5 hours, great. If I watch TV for 5 minutes, great. Can we get over this program belief of feeling bad about whatever we do, whether it's playing on your phone? And the only thing is, it's because it's a judgment, it's a program judgment. And people have been programmed to just be dissatisfied with what they do. Come on. Well, Rebecca, what about these people that sit in their basements? And I never take hypothetical questions. I hate hypothetical questions because number one, we're not focusing on the self. We're not focusing on you. Number two, I mean, it go on forever. So who cares about anybody else? I'm talking about the person in the mirror. Can you be okay with what you do or what you don't do and how you spend your free time? What if you were outside? It's so interesting because if I'm at the beach and I'm watching the sunset, what did you do? Well, I spent an hour at the beach in a chair watching the sunset. There would be a lot of people that, oh, what great. Oh, how spiritual. Oh, but if you told them you spent an hour playing a game on your phone, then there would be an instant judgment and there would be an instant criticism. So can we just let all this go and be okay with whatever you choose to spend your time doing, unless it's unless it's flowing into someone else. Okay, I'm not talking about the obvious, but if a sane individual, where there's not a lot of those left, myself included, wants to sit and play a game on their phone, I'm speaking for myself. I'm going to do it. It's very relaxing. Here we go with another one: overeating. 5 things I can't stop doing. Overeating. Well, this eating and feeling bad about what you eat, and that's another program too that I practice getting over. And let me just share. Of course, there are foods that are more nourishing and healthier and to the human body. And then there's just sometimes, I'm speaking of myself, there are just sometimes I want some greasy ass French fries. Period. Am I going to feel bad about having some French fries? Am I going to feel bad? And this overeating, okay, so say you're overeating and it's all sugar. This practice starts with one position: acceptance that you are overeating. And can we practice accepting that you are overeating for a long period of time? Oh, I'm overeating. I'm overeating. I can only accept it today. Can you just that's a tendency. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but when it's time for you to not overeat, guess what? Guess what's going to happen? When it's time for the overeating to stop, it will, or it won't. Choosing a different behavior, number one, comes from a willingness to choose a different behavior. Choosing a different behavior comes from number one, a willingness. But the first part is acceptance without judgment, without criticism, is acceptance without judgment and or criticism of self. Let me give you an example. I'm a fitness instructor and 45 years. And I always used to say, I mean, for decades, I don't work out unless I'm teaching. I mean, if I wasn't teaching a class, I didn't work out. And there had been times when either I wasn't able to physically recovering from surgery or whatever. I mean, there was one time in my 45-year career, I remember not working out for almost 2 years. Why? Well, this is really digging into the dirt because the guy I was dating didn't like me teaching fitness classes because that's when I was really young and really cute. And I had my little fitness class outfit, and I had the stomach showing and I was cute as a button. And the guy, the idiot, did I say that out loud? And the guy didn't like me teaching fitness classes. He thought I got too much attention. And so this young Rebecca stopped teaching fitness classes, stopped doing something that she loved to do and was very good at it for about a year and a half. Can you believe that? Or else did I lie about it? No, I think I stopped. Anyway, but it was this program belief that I only teach, that I only exercise when I teach. And now guess what happened? Just this year, 2025, this has never happened in my life because I haven't been teaching for a while, a few months, except for an occasion. Well, that's not true. I'm talking about a cardio class. Can you, a month ago, it started February the 1st, 2025. After over 45 years, I've been going to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. on the elliptical for 30 minutes, doing machines, doing free weights, stretching just a little bit for about an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. And when I'm really out and I move really slow, I'm just slow moving because I'm a boot camp instructor. I'm usually moving fast, but I'm just moving slow. And it's an hour and 50 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes every morning at 6 a.m. I wake up and I'm at the damn gym. What? And it was just time. It was just time. And the last thing I'm going to offer as a solution, and this can be for any circumstance you find yourself in. If I want, or scratch that, when I ask for assistance from the universe, I go outside, I put my palms up like this, and I say, universe, how do I let go of self-criticism? How do I trust more? How do I practice, scratch that, how do I practice trusting more? How do I practice letting go of self-judgment? How do I practice, how do I practice focusing on living in the present moment? Those are all the questions. I mean, and you come up with your own custom. We are as different as our fingerprints. Come up with your own asking the universe how do I? And you will get an answer. How do I let go of, number one, this self-criticism and this judgment of overeating? I mean, I know the world says, and then, okay, here we go. This is another question. And just be kinder, be more gentle with self, be more loving. It's easy to be loving mostly with a baby and a puppy, but can we start being more loving and accepting of self? I can't believe I'm not even getting to all these questions. Well, that's what happens when she's a long-winded person. And this is another question. Let's see. Wanting the approval for 4 or 5 things you can't seem to stop doing. Wanting approval in the early stages of any kind of relationship. Wanting approval. How about wanting approval, getting approval from the universe, from God? And these people wanting approval from a human, what a waste. I used to, though, I have to say, that used to be a program behavior, wanting approval. In fact, wanting approval from Ralph Norrington, father and mother, and anybody else that, yeah, you know what? That is a deep program. But I dug that. I have to say that it is deep-seated wanting approval from someone else, especially when you put them on some kind of pedestal or want to please them. But let's start focusing on how about wanting the approval of self. And the ego is never going to give you approval. So know which entity you are. Know which entity you are focused on. Not wanting to disappoint others. Oh, brother. Thank God I don't have that anymore. Not wanting to disappoint others. Well, I already know you already know that that's a program, disappointing others. And people that are programmed have this one deep-seated program that is so prevalent. It is a cancer. Talk about a virus and a cancer. It's having expectations. And the program of having expectations of others, having expectations of self. These people, what I say is your expectations are your problems. And in fact, I just disappointed a family member recently. That's on them. You have expectations, you're going to be disappointed. You have expectations, your heart is going to get broken. And then the other thing I hear, well, having expectations is normal. No, it's not. Having expectations is a program. You want to feel lighter, you want to be happier, you want to enjoy this experience even more. Let go of the expectations of self and of others. 0 expectations. You'll be happier. Feeling guilty that I think I let someone down. Oh my goodness. You know, and I know that this program of guilt, this program of feeling guilty, being guilty, feeling burdened with guilt is just another program too. And in fact, program people use this guilt. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Oh, you said something and now I feel this way. I love it. When these program people tell me I hurt their feelings or I said something or did something and now they're feeling a type of way. Well, I'll tell you right now that I don't have that much power. And that's what I say. I don't have that much power. Your feelings are your responsibility. And I am free of it. Now, listen, there are exceptions. Maybe you have an older person in your life, older, and I'm talking about old, and or children. But you know what? It's my responsibility to teach my child about having expectations. I had to learn not having any expectations for my one and only son. 0 expectations. As a mother, 0 expectations of when he calls, how long we talk, how many times he calls, how many times he visits. 0 expectations. That's on me. Why would I, especially someone that I claim to love, put a burden and expectations. I expect you to do fill in the blank so I can feel good. Why would I do that to anyone that I claim to love? I wouldn't. Zero expectations, even to the point of visiting me or coming to see me while in surgery or after surgery. No expectations. And the truth is, when you let go of your expectations of others, you can love them more. You can love them more unconditionally, more completely. They will feel it. They will feel a burden lifted. And I'll never forget, a close friend of mine, and was obligated, felt guilty if he didn't talk to his mother every day, see his mother every day, feel guilty. And guess what he felt after her death? It's the R word. Relief. Just another perspective here. All right, well, I am going to wrap up this show. This has been a hell of a show. Did I ask and answer questions? Yes, I did. How many? I don't remember. Here we go. That's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and now every Saturday at 9:15. I go live with my son, and we do our show. We tape our show, which is called "What Happens When a Mother and Son Make Sense Out of Nonsense," plus more. Every Saturday, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel, Rebecca Norrington, and my website is RebeccaNorrington.com. That's RebeccaNorrington.com. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, is on Amazon. That was published in 2014. And my latest book, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. This is series 1 of 5. That's right. The second one is coming out soon. This is on Amazon, Program for Unhappiness. It's a must read. And in the book, I list 56 program behaviors that subtract from your happiness. And I also list 26 program behaviors that, if practiced, will add to your happiness. Only if you value, only if you prioritize, only if you make a commitment to experience more happiness, contentment, peace along this journey we call life. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You're a physical extension of God. You're a physical extension of the universe. Your conscious energy having a human experience, always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself by accepting yourself in every moment. Be your own best friend. And remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. That's a quote from Abraham, Esther Hicks. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, happiness specialist, global happiness specialist, Rebecca L. Norrington. Remember, happiness is a practiced skill. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find. And your experience reflects on what you practice. Have a conscious week. Hold me, my themes. Hold.
You got a question for RLM? You got a question for RLM?
This is the song.
It's time to real. Oh, yeah. It's the newest. Keep your ears open for this one.
It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we get real. Yeah, time to get down. Yeah, you gonna
Feel good now, real good.
That's what I'm talking about.